What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to an extremely special episode of the Waterboy podcast. Today it is episode number 103. We have very special returning guest Shae Wyatt on later in the back end of this episode. Had an amazing interview with him last Friday. But other than that, we got to quickly get into the exciting news of the weekend. Now, I'm not really sure what's going on with Everett's face over there, but Tulane had their spring game over the weekend where, some cool accessories got handed out. Everett got like that weird ass ring thing. Personally, I got this cool ass foam finger for watching the USC Tulane game on TV when it happened. So, Everett, I can't hear you. What the hell?
It's the participation award.
Well, see, Everett, not quite humble in victory, as we can tell, but that is okay. Today's not a day to be humble. Today's a day to brag.
I mean, you're holding up a 2 for second place.
Wow. Okay. We're really starting this off on a great note. I was really, I accepted defeat when we had Shae on. You'll guys see it in a second. I understood, I understood the assignment. Okay. I know what you guys want to watch. You guys want to watch me sulk and complain and cry. I get it. I know. But let's talk about some other people that were crying over the weekend, Everett. So specifically, anyone who made a bracket, and Alabama and Houston, who somehow lost to San Diego State, and Miami, who then also both went on to the Final Four. Everett, first things first, when we're talking Houston basketball real quick, we were talking about this last week. You were saying Houston, as an AAC truther yourself, Houston, slow starts, usually strong finishes. Didn't quite work out that way.
No,
when
it did
they
not.
Matched up with Houston. I was saying before the tournament began, the only 1-2 matchup that I'm truly confident in happening in the Elite Eight was Houston, Texas. I wanted that Texas matchup. I wanted it badly, and we didn't get it. Did we? Nope, didn't get it.
Neither of them even made it. Neither of them.
Well,
Texas.
Texas made it to the Elite Eight,
Texas
but once they got there, holy shit. First, just want to say, want to shout out Gus Fring and his job, what he did with the Texas team, taking over for Chris Beard, pushing them through, getting through that tough moment. So shout out Gus Fring, the new coach of Texas. I've also never seen Breaking Bad, by the way, but all-time choke out of Texas, Everett, all-time choke. I don't know what it was this year, but I swear anytime a team win it by 10 or 15, I'd be like, oh, that live bet on the other team looks even more enticing than what's going on.
It's about the same as a 3-0, 3-1 lead.
These leads were evaporating like nothing out of thin air. A 10-point lead means absolutely nothing in March Madness. It means literally nothing at all. And just very tough if you're a Texas fan. I feel
it's like a 2-0 lead in soccer.
Other news, not quite exciting, but Kansas State and America's favorite player, Marquise Noel. Amazing. Okay, first, Kansas State and Michigan State, Everett, one of the greatest basketball games I've ever watched in my life. That entire second half, nobody missed. Nobody missed on either team. It honestly kind of looked like an NBA style of offense where it was just consistent scoring. Both teams were over 50% in the game, which I feel like there's actually a 3% chance both teams shoot over 50 in a game. But then FAU just goes out and beat Kansas State next round. Marquise Noel. I felt really bad when Marquise Noel made that. I don't even know how to describe it. A samurai pass. He was like jumping out of bounds, hits his guy perfect, and then he misses the fucking layup. Those are not the vibes you want in March Madness, Everett. Those are not the vibes that are going to take you far. But those are the vibes that we end up getting. Also, I'll shout out you. You were right about UConn. I was on the must bus a little too long. Stayed on it a little longer than I should have.
Yeah.
And then also UCLA choke job. Way to rep the Big Ten, you pieces of shit. That was so pathetic. UCLA, I think they went 12 minutes without scoring a field goal in the second half against Gonzaga. Oh my, it was like the first half, Tiger Campbell, even Amari Bailey, Hawkes, they were not missing. And then the second half hit. They couldn't hit anything. But Everett, I have a quick Final Four preview.
All right, make it quick.
San Diego State, FAU, Miami, and then UConn. But let's focus on those first three. San Diego State, FAU, and Miami, all in the Final Four. Now, Everett, when I think of those three schools, I categorize them as some coastal schools right next to the beach, right next to the water. So I don't know about you, Everett, but it kind of sounds like we might have some Waterboys schools in the Final Four this year.
Yeah, all of them but UConn, but yes.
Yeah. No, I know UConn
yes.
really fucked it up. But
well, Connecticut technically is on the water. It's there.
Might be the ocean experience you're thinking of, but FAU, Miami, and San Diego State, those are right on the beach. Those are right on the coast. We got some Waterboys in the Final Four, Everett.
Yes, we do.
Yeah, that was
all right. But give us,
wasn't it? Huh?
Give us your champion. Give us your champion.
Now, as a man who picked UConn in his Final Four under the bracket titled at Waterboy Pod, I'm gonna have to go with the Huskies. I'm gonna have to go with Dan Hurley. We were talking about it with Shae later in the pod, how there are just certain people that you'd run through brick walls for. I run through a brick building for Dan Hurley, okay? I do anything for UConn. I would literally do anything to please Dan Hurley and to fulfill all of his greatest desires of winning a national championship. I could be his Sonogo down low. If he needed me to do it, I could do it. Only because he's the coach. So I'm going to have to go with UConn. But in dead, all honesty, though, Miami is winning the shit.
Miami and UConn look like the two.
UConn, and they're going
Miami and UConn are the two toughest teams left, in my opinion. I think whoever comes out of that side of the bracket is going to win.
We're saying this. Watch FAU just smoke the absolute living shit out of UConn or Miami when they make it to the championship game.
Now that you said that, San Diego State's going to win.
Is going to destroy FAU. Now I have double jinxes on. You can't blame me for anything now. See, this is Waterboy analytics right here at its finest. Okay, let's get into the most important news of the day, though, Everett. The ChiefsAholic is on the run, Everett. He cut off his ankle bracelet. He is on the loose. The most exciting news to hit the NFL world on this fine Monday.
Keep in mind that includes the Lamar Jackson trade request.
Okay. So obviously the Lamar Jackson trade's obviously what we're here to talk about and why we even have a 15-minute intro before the interview. But okay, ChiefsAholic on the run, cutting out the ankle bracelet. What? I don't know about you, Everett, but as a Chargers fan, I think this sends a bad message to the NFL about our most recent Super Bowl champion and their fandom and the lack of respect that they have for the people around them. I think it's an absolute shame. Not only on the NFL, but the AFC best specifically. As a division, I'm ashamed.
Siren.
And I know that Siren's not calling out the AFC best. I know they're not calling that out. I know they're calling out ChiefsAholic. So let's just start there.
I'm just saying, if you're the Chiefs, if you're the Chiefs, obviously he's your number one fan. Bale's posted at $1 million. Are you just dropping the $1 million to get your fan back?
You know, these are the questions that we ask on the Waterboy podcast. That was really good, actually. Yes. Let's dive into this a little bit more. Okay. The Bills' connection to this. Could ChiefsAholic somehow be working with the Bills to tarnish the reputation of the Chiefs franchise? Could that be in the works?
It's possible. It's always possible.
We can't rule anything out here. Okay. We're just going to take in all the facts. We're going to have to let some time pass to learn some more details about this story. But ChiefsAholic, shame on you. Shame on you. And all Chiefs fans, you should probably call for the retirement of Patrick Mahomes to make up for this. It's probably the only way that we could really let bygones be bygones from this scenario.
I mean, let Patrick Mahomes go, but get Lamar Jackson and pass the torch to the next generation of Chiefs quarterback.
Yeah, okay. While we're on the topic, good transition. I saw a very funny little reply to the Lamar Jackson tweet this morning where it's a nice nice little graphic of Mahomes handing the ball off to Lamar saying, "You're a Chief." Now, obviously it's a joke, but I'm thinking now, Everett, in an offense with Mahomes and Lamar. Now,
Do you run Lamar
financially,
out
none
running
of it
back?
makes sense. None of it makes sense at all. But
That might be the
I'm
most
thinking,
expensive running back in the NFL.
I'm thinking of some double pass concepts involved here, where Mahomes can throw it out to Lamar. It could be a quick little dump off.
Can
Can
you
route,
run quarterbacks like standing next to each other?
What do you mean?
Could you do that? Have them offset a little bit, so then your center just chooses which one to snap the ball to. Either goes left or to the right.
Direct snap to the right. You can snap whoever the hell you want. Yeah, hell yeah, you can do that. I'm not sure how effective Mahomes would be if he didn't have the ball in his hands, but you could do it. You could do it. You could. I mean, we shouldn't doubt Andy Reid when it comes to creativity.
No, we shouldn't. But okay, the only thing I'm going to say about this, my God, did this just completely screw over the Packers, and I cannot be happier right now.
The bad man is officially gone. The bad man's gone, Everett.
We keep saying that, and you need to stop saying that because then it's never going to happen. Nope, you're going to. The more you say it, the more you're going to jinx it. And no, I mean, he is gone. But
what are you talking about?
He's until he officially is gone. He's still in Green Bay.
His darkness retreat.
But now the fact that Lamar Jackson asked for a trade and the Jets clearly will be in on him, that kind of screws over the Packers because the Packers are kind of holding strong, trying to get first-round picks for Aaron Rodgers, and obviously nobody thinks his value is that. So instead, if that's what they're asking for Aaron Rodgers to the Packers, Jets could just go and give the exact same thing to the Ravens and get Lamar Jackson, who is what, 10 years, 11, 12 years younger than Aaron Rodgers?
Aaron's 39.
12,
Lamar's, I think,
13 years younger than Aaron Rodgers, going to get paid about the same amount and probably will be around for a lot longer. So the Packers are fucked. They're getting a lot less now because now they're kind of forced to just go. Like they need to get him out because his value is only going to go down more because Aaron Rodgers holds all the cards and so do the Jets. The Packers have nothing here. They don't hold anything.
Yeah, I'd say
so. The longer they wait,
the only slight influence the Packers might have in this scenario is just the fact that the Jets need a quarterback and the Packers are the one that have to finally approve that.
They don't.
That's like the
they
only
don't.
Thing
they don't. The thing is, no, they don't have that anymore because now Lamar Jackson's available. And I know that the Jets are going to be in on that.
I get that. I get that. Yes. I do think let's look at it from Jets' perspective though, real quick. Lamar Jackson would demand what? He wants 4 years, 160. He wants the Daniel Dimes contract.
Yeah, but he also doesn't want it to be guaranteed.
He doesn't want guaranteed money. Saying he wants to be extended. I don't think he said that.
No, but his contract per average is around that same amount.
Yeah, no, true. Yeah, I think. Well, yeah, I get what you're saying here. I get it. I do think though the Jets would rather have Aaron Rodgers than Lamar. At least with what they're doing right now, getting Allen Lazard, what, $45 million?
I mean, yeah, they clearly signed those players assuming Aaron Rodgers will be there, but that's not going to stop them from just cutting them after the fact.
Yeah, I wasn't. I didn't think they'd go there.
I mean,
they just cut Lazard.
Just like, oh, we traded for Lamar Jackson in the trade
back for Elijah Moore.
the trade for Lamar Jackson, we gave up Allen Lazard, Randall Cobb. We signed him for a day. He's gone.
Yeah. Literally signed him to a 1-day contract.
Whoever the else they signed from the Packers that they got. Shipped him off.
We got some moves in play. A lot of things can happen with this Lamar trade. Personally, I'm kind of on board with the Lamar Jackson plus 400 to the Vikings. But we have different opinions on that stance. We have different ideas.
Vikings are not set up to be in a position where they can have him on the team. Offensive wise, it works, but the defense still needs to be built out. And if you have him on that massive contract, one that causes issue extending Justin Jefferson, two that causes issue extending TJ Hawkinson, both of which we're going to need. Also, Justin Jefferson needs to be that team leader. He's having the say in the team, and I know the I know Lamar Jackson's not going to fuck with that. Like Lamar's going to want to be able to have say everything. Obviously, Lamar's not going to really be complaining considering he's going to an offense with Justin Jefferson, but that causes so much more issues down the line and building. Like you can't rebuild, even as a competitive rebuild, you can't rebuild those position groups without having capital and cap space. And the Vikings are going to compete regardless. It's just a matter of whether or not they're going to have that quarterback on a rookie deal and be able to get all these other players that are going to be necessary. And in my mind, if you don't get a quarterback this year, which I don't really know if they will or not, unless they trade back and they can get a second round pick to get Hendon Hooker or somebody falls, I'm expecting them to be really far in on trade deals to get that number 1 pick next year to get Caleb Williams.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I am just thinking of the thought of Lamar Jackson and Justin Jefferson.
Oh no, trust me, that offense will be gross. It'd be gross. It'd be disgusting.
And they're in a dome.
It would be disgusting. But the defense, even with Brian Flores 50, there,
give it 49. We'll see how
the
season plays
that's
out.
the issue. But don't like if we had I would rather I saw a tweet about this from Vikings Twitter. It was, would you rather extend Kirk Cousins for 2 years, whatever, trade away 2 firsts to trade up to get a quarterback like Will Levis or whoever, or trade 2 firsts to get Lamar Jackson?
Lamar Jackson.
Give me Lamar Jackson. If I have to do any of those, if I have to do one of those 3, give me Lamar Jackson. I would rather trade 2 first-round picks to get Lamar Jackson than trade 2 first-rounders to get Will Levis. But with that said, if I'm going to get like Caleb Williams, even if I'm getting like CJ Stroud or somebody this year, like I'll trade 2 first-round picks for them for a cheaper contract too, and like them to be younger. Caleb Williams, I'll trade 3 first-round picks to go and get him. But
going back to last year's, you're not going to like this, but the AJ Brown Eagles trade, that was the best pick in the draft.
Even better than Khalil Mack. Second round pick, Khalil Mack is pretty good.
Year. I mean, thank you for the love and support. I don't want to fucking think about the Chargers right now, dude. You know what you're doing.
But
just want to see me cry.
Unless you have anything else to say, send you guys straight into the interview.
Yeah, no. Great interview with Shae coming up. We loved having him on. Great interview. Official recurring guest. So here's Shae Wyatt.
All right, guys. We're here with current NFL draft prospect, former Tulane wide receiver, and former Waterboy guest and Waterboy of the Year award nominee, Shae Wyatt. Thank you, Shae, for being here. It's the second time on, so...
Yeah,
I appreciate y'all having me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna lie. We didn't really know what we were doing the first time that we interviewed you and Quan, just to be perfectly honest. So hopefully this goes a little bit smoother this time.
Yeah, I felt like we were personally a bit underprepared. When I found out Quan's uncle was Ed Reed, that kind of just threw my mind in a blender. So that I feel like Everett, we probably should have done some communication before to find that out.
Yeah, that might have been necessary.
But we did some more research this time. We did a bit more research this time. So we got to get right to the important stuff right away. Your pregame drip. As a man who has some style myself, I appreciate players who take time caring about their pregame drip. It's drip or drown. You know what they say: look good, feel good, play good. And when you play good, they pay good. So, Shae, to start things off, back in my heyday, I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but I'd consider myself one of the drippiest players in the Mission League. So I just want to ask you, what do you think about my drip when I played in high school? And also, I want you to guess, which position did I play?
Yeah, so you were number 63, right?
Yeah, 63. Mm-hmm. Star.
Yeah, looking at this picture, I mean, I'm a long sleeve guy, so I actually I approve of that. The part that I don't really like is just the eye black. I'm not really an eye black type of player.
Okay, hold on. Sorry, I gotta interrupt that real quick. I distinctly remember you having the full face eye black on.
Yeah, hey man, I was testing the waters with that, but once I figured out my groove and I entered my my senior year, that was really when I was
okay.
I didn't want to go with all the theatrics, especially after the game, man. Like that, it sucks taking it off.
You know what I mean? Tell me about it. Yeah, and I didn't get much PT, so there wasn't much sweat dripping. It was a lot of work for me to get it off, but yeah, no, I understand. I did want to ask specifically though, what do you think about the one Jordan eye tape that I have in one of those pictures? Are you seeing that? Do you have that?
Yeah, I see that. I didn't even notice that till you said something,
Damn
but
it.
I don't think that's dripping, man. I think
It's
that's something that you look at yourself in the mirror, you say, "Oh, this might be a look," but you don't actually do it. Because
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then what position did you play? I mean, by the looks of it, I'm thinking you probably played long
all
snapper.
sorry. The only thing I got to say is Grant and I played the same position
Y'all
Yeah.
when we
played the
were
same
we played the
position.
same position.
Slight hint.
Okay, but I'm going with long snapper. I think you got some reps at receiver because I see the gloves and the towel.
Okay.
That's all I need. That's all I needed.
I
I played
I
left
also
guard.
left guard.
Yeah, I
Oh
played guard.
man,
And specifically that season, I actually lost my backup job. I got demoted to scout team linebacker actually that season. Uh, but yeah, no, you just thinking I was a wide receiver, that might have been the biggest compliment I've ever received in my life. Thank you. No one's ever told me I look like a receiver. Yeah, no, I could
yeah.
run with that. Yeah.
I wouldn't pride yourself too much. It was just because of the gloves, man. That's all.
Fair enough.
You know.
It's
Hey,
okay. It's
I,
all right.
I had the dual threat. I was the dual threat on offense. I got a couple reps at running back, but I was the first string center for my team,
What?
which makes no sense. I got bulldozed basically every single play, and I had to snap the ball like horizontally. So
Yeah, I was
I
gonna
can't
say.
snap.
So, what was your guys' average height and weight for your guys' line?
I wasn't on the line with him. I was on it. I was already in
So,
Minnesota at
well,
this time,
that
but
I
year
got you.
when I was playing, I was, believe it or not the smallest lineman on the line. That year I was around 5'8", 170. Right now, I'm not 170. I'm way smaller now. But we had some big boys on the line. Our starting center, when we were freshmen, was around like 260. He ended up playing at Wake Forest for a year as a walk-on. Then he medically retired. It was time for him to move on from the game that he loves so much. But our biggest guy, 260, 270 freshman year. By the time he got to Wake, I think he hit 335 at
Yeah, he
one
probably put
point.
on some weight.
It was a big day for him. I remember when he hit it.
yeah, in comparison, when I was the starting center, I weighed about 90 pounds. And this was
Bro,
so
what?
Tough competition out in
yeah.
Minnesota.
Yeah, I know.
Mhm.
Man, that's actually crazy.
Yeah, fair enough. But Shae, enough talk about me. I was looking through a lot of your pregame outfits, and with the Tulane uniforms being so flashy, I can understand too many accessories might be taking away. I noticed you like to keep it relatively simple. I was trying to look at pictures of you from every single game you've played in the last 2 seasons, and according to my deep insight and analysis, you stopped using a leg sleeve at some point. Can you please take me through that exactly why you dropped the leg sleeve? Personally, I think the leg sleeve is one of the drippiest accessories in the league. I wish I utilized that back in my day. I didn't.
Yeah,
Though. I
man.
wish I could now, but why move on from it?
Like you said, bro, I personally like the leg sleeve. It's just playing down here in NOLA, the humidity. That's part of the reason why I kept it simple. A lot of times, we'd come in for halftime and I'd be dripping sweat, and it's like that's another 5 pounds already added on. And especially in my position, you need all the speed that you can get, and that's primarily the reason why I stopped wearing it. And then also I felt like sometimes I would do it in practice, and for me, it kind of tightened up my legs a little bit. So I always want to try to avoid, cramps or anything more serious. Just wearing those sleeves. But it wasn't anything like I was like, man, I got to switch up my drip for this year. No, I wasn't really thinking too much about that. I was just thinking about um, how could I be the fastest while also being the safest. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, that's a good answer.
And the swaggiest. And
Yeah.
the swaggiest.
That's a better
And the
answer.
swaggiest.
Yeah, for me, it's all about the drip, purely about how you look.
All about the drip.
Last question I had about equipment.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a firm believer in this, but does wearing white shoes and having on white gloves, does that make you look faster on tape? I think it is 100% fact. I think there's multiple scientific studies that prove this, but do you think white shoes makes you look faster?
Yeah, I definitely want to see the studies done, but based on looking on the tape, it definitely makes a difference, I think, especially with the white cleats. I'm also a fan of like all black cleats with white laces. I think that's very drippy. You see that a lot in the league, and it's very simple. You know what I mean? I think when you match up with a receiver or a DB that has that type of look, he's about business. He's not trying to be too flashy. He's not out there with the Concords or the Jordans, which I'm not dissing those people that have them. It's just it's a different element of preparedness when you see somebody with those types of cleats on.
Yeah, I mean, personally, when I see people wearing like the Air Jordan 1s in game, the Air Jordan cleats, my first thought is like, your feet must be dead after one quarter. Like, there's no way those are comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
But I think we've got enough on the drip, so we have to address it. I go to USC. Yeah, I know, guys, and not great for me. But last time we had you on, Shae, we asked about your matchup 2 seasons ago with Oklahoma and Lincoln Riley, who I know very well now. And with that game being moved to Norman, you said Tulane would have won that game had that game been played in New Orleans. And I hate to admit it, but you were right. So tell me a little bit about the preparation going into the Cotton Bowl against USC. Would you say it was a revenge game for the Tulane Green Wave?
Yeah, I think first and foremost, I have to mention, when we were down there in Dallas, the Cotton Bowl representatives, they took care of us, and it more or less it felt like we were preparing for a home game. Kudos to the Cowboys for letting us use their facilities and stuff, and overall it was like a great week just preparing for them. And in terms of, Lincoln Riley and his squad, I can't really bash on them too hard because they controlled the game most of the game. And they have great athletes. Obviously, they have great coaches. And it wasn't. I don't think you can say that it was a revenge game because it was a different setting. Last year or 2 years ago when we played Oklahoma, it was our first game. We were kind of just a bunch of bodies out there just running plays, and we almost came away with it. We were that close. I think it was more of a it helped us because it showed us what we're capable of. And it's actually funny because I don't know if you guys remember, Pratt had it was like 4th down and he ran it,
Oh, I
and he
remember.
ended up,
I remember it.
yeah, and he missed the first down, by a couple inches.
Well, he got
So
it, but it's okay.
it's up for
He got
debate.
it, but it's okay.
It's up for debate. And then you look when we played USC, there was a time where it was a fourth down, and it wasn't the same play or anything, but it was the same scenario where if he didn't get that first down, we would have lost. And for him to get that, I think that was the momentum that we needed because everybody on the sideline knew what that scenario was at Oklahoma. Because I guarantee you, if we would have got it back in Norman, we definitely would have had a better opportunity to, put the game away or at least come out with the dub. And just preparing for USC, like I had been telling everybody around me, it was just being able to go out there and compete with the 4 stars, the 5 stars that are out there. And especially on a national stage, man, like that's what you dream of as a kid. So, looking back on it, I don't have any regrets about the game, and I thought they played really hard. And I'm just grateful that Alex caught that ball, and
Yeah.
we came away with that.
I'm not gonna lie. Like, obviously, I've been I work for Tulane football, right? I've been around. I was there for the Oklahoma game. I was there for that game. It was very weird. It almost felt like deja vu going through the whole same situation, coming back from behind. We're now on that 4th down territory, marching down the field to try and win the game. And obviously, we didn't get an onside kick recovery this time, but it was safety in the end zone, get the ball back that way. So just shades of deja vu, but you obviously mentioned going up against these 4 or 5-star recruits, like these highly prolific, well-known corners, defensive players, right? Obviously, in that game, there's a lot of running. Tajay obviously had 200 plus yards, multiple touchdowns. How did run blocking for you specifically in this game kind of work out? Like, how have you developed as a blocking wide receiver? And how do you just kind of see that translating as you kind of further your career?
Yeah, man. As a receiver, I think, from the naked eye, you just kind of think you run out there, you run routes, you catch the ball, and you score. That's typically what our position gets looked at. But if you look at the nitty-gritty part of it, it's the run blocking. And you have to pride yourself in that because if you can open up holes, for example, like Tajay, he doesn't need a lot of space to, crack a 60-yard touchdown. And that goes a long way because if you can establish a run game, that obviously opens up the pass game. That's one of the oldest terminologies in football. I think everybody's heard that, but it's still true. I mean, you have to look at football like chess. You move one of these pieces, that's going to open up a hole or that's going to open up a void. And so it's a constant uh strategic game going on. I mean, like I said, from the naked eye, it probably just looks like a bunch of dudes running after each other, hitting each other. I mean, in all honesty, it is a dumb sport. Like if you look at it, you got 300 plus dudes and there's one ball and they're all running at each other, just trying to knock their teeth loose. But I mean, if you study the game, you can actually see the beauty of it. And part of it is the blocking aspect. And, being a receiver, when I first started playing, I had that mindset where I was like, okay, like if I block well, that'll open up something. But I didn't, I didn't start really paying attention to it probably till my sophomore year. That's when I really started to study, like the run plays. I think sometimes, especially nowadays, like when it's a run play, you can take breaks off. Especially if the run's not coming to you. Well, I started to look at it as an advantage because say if there is a run play going the opposite way, if we're running like outside zone for Tajay to the right and I'm lined up to the left and I know that it's man coverage, um, well, I'll typically do like a dummy release or I'll work a release that I know that I could do later in the game. So when it's possible to use it, I know that it will work. So the blocking comes with taking heed on what you see, like what coverages are coming at you. Then also it's the will and the want to, like the effort. You can't really coach effort. It has to be something that's instilled within.
Yeah. So overall, like, is there when you're like in the game, like in live, I know you talked about using like these plays, like your routes, right? So you do like the dummy release to try and set that up. You can use it later in the game. Do you in the game like kind of work off of what the corner's giving you specifically? So if you see like they kind of fall for this specifically, or you might be able to get leverage on them this way, do you just kind of try and work that, or are you just trying to do new things and just keep going?
No, so I typically like to keep it basic. So with my background, I played basketball a lot. I'm a basketball player at heart. And so you can see that incorporated with the way that I play. And typically what I look at, I'll look at their hips and their feet. So like if I make a move and he opens up his right foot, for example, well, if I can play off of that, if I can make him drop it a little bit more, even if it's 6 inches that I have to get up on him, that creates a window of opportunity for me. So, it really goes back to what I said with it being a chess match. I mean, you really have to keep tabs on which corner you're going up against and how they play. Now, it's different when you go up against teams that like to scheme and teams that, like there's certain teams that just play all man. All right, well, that's different. You're really gonna have to work a release every game or every possession. But there's other teams where they'll mix it up. They might go cover two, they might go cover three, cover six. Just throwing a lot of stuff at the QB where you also have to be in tune. I actually have an example of this. We played a lot of teams this past year that would send a cat blitz. And a cat blitz, all that is it's a corner blitz from the boundary. One of the tales for this is if you look and you scan the defense, our receiver coach is like really good at teaching us how to scan the defense, and I've had him since I was a sophomore. He came from UCM, so kudos to Coach Mack. But he'd always say, check your triangle. And so this triangle is you check your corner, you check the safety, the near safety that's in your area, and then you check the outside linebacker, whoever's in that area. So with this cap blitz, one of the biggest indicators is if you see the safety's way off the hash, if he's moving towards the sideline, well, in order for that corner to be successful, there has to be somebody that replaces him. So that safety that's off the hash, he has to replace where that corner would be. So a lot of times, before you're lining up, you have to peep that, and that's less than, I don't know, 3 seconds maybe before the QB makes his calls and his audibles or whatever. So it's relatively quick, but the more reps that you get, the more comfortable you get, and the easier it becomes. The game slows down, and it's really just about film study, especially at the receiver spot, because the game is evolving, everybody's evolving, and while more points are being scored, defenses are also being they're also being tweaked, they're also being evolved as well.
Yeah, I kind of like what you were saying there with different coverages. You want to change it up. One thing that I was thinking about a lot, I remember hearing Richard Sherman in an interview talking about how he does a lot of prep outside of the game during the week. And I'm not sure if he was capping on this or not, but Richard Sherman claims that he knows every possible route the receiver he's matched up could run in any formation. Similarly, are you thinking in your head based on if they're running cover 2, cover 3, if they're running man? Do you have different routes set up in your head? Maybe, I don't know, like instead of just having one set route, like I'm running a slant, based on the coverages, is there kind of like an option for you which route to run? And how is that communicated with you and the quarterback?
Yeah, that's a very good question, actually. So behind the scenes here, with our offense is very complex, but it's very easy to learn too. So we had like our hitches, for example, it's called Thunder. It's an option. So like I was saying, if they go cover 3, or if they go, a version of cover 4 where that corner bails, where he has to cover the deep third, well then that's when you break it off and run a hitch. Now, if he goes man, or if it's cover 2, the rule is you have to convert. So there's certain routes in the offense that I've played in where it just depends on what coverages that you're running. So I'm not kidding, dog. Like, I'm trying to think of I think I had a play against Memphis. We called Thunder, and I caught a hitch. Well, I ran that hitch based off of what that corner was doing. I'm pretty sure he came up first. He was pressing me. So if he would have stayed pressed and went man, I would have converted. I would have ran a go route. Well, as I'm running, I'm making this decision probably within my second or third step. Once I see that he opens up and his eyes are pointing towards the QB, that's when I know that it's some variation of a coverage where they have to cover third. So that's why I snapped it off on the hitch. And we have other routes too where sometimes, like, as a receiver, you're the dummy read. Like, for example, if we're running 4 verts and we're in 10 personnel, we're all spread out. Sometimes that third receiver, he's not going to be the option just because he has to get the second receiver open. So you kind of just have to do your duties and really just stay ready for any opportunity that's ready to present itself.
Yeah, I'm thinking of a specific play here when you guys were going up against UCF, opening drive, you catch a wheel route touchdown. And when you were just talking about kind of the dummy routes, the way it looked, it was a bit of a rub route set up for you. Before that play is snapped, when you're just on the line getting ready, are you like foaming at the mouth like this is my touchdown pass? Like we're going to the house here or what?
Yeah, for sure. We had schemed that. We schemed that play way early in the season, and we never ran it. But we had noticed, when we got into that formation, they would go man. And if you notice on that play, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but they had levels. So like the corner that was pressed on me, he was super close to me. The corner or the safety that was over the number 2, he was about 2 yards off of that corner. And then the corner that was covering the 1, he was way off, but he was still man. So we knew that they were man because, one, I was at the 3 spot, and I believe it was number 14. He's their corner, so he followed me. So we knew we had the matchup. And like I said, we had been scheming it. And it goes back to what I was saying, that, football is really a chess match. I mean, it's something that these coaches study on a daily basis for hours and hours and hours. So when that defense is presented, they can call the play. They're like, all right, yeah, we can put our guys in the right places. We trust them, and that was just one of those plays that we had worked on since like week 2 of the season, and we just figured we might as well use it if they put those guys in those positions.
Yeah. Also, we were talking a little bit earlier about revenge games. Yeah, maybe not quite the revenge game I was looking at with Oklahoma to USC, but I would say your matchups with UCF last year were definitely revenge games in my mind. Feel free to correct me, but tough loss earlier in the year in the rematch AAC Championship. You went off 110 yards, 2 touchdowns. Kind of explain what that's like, getting payback, winning the AAC, also at home in front of all your fans. Kind of take me through that.
And they rushed the field. And they
Yeah,
rushed the
they did
field
rush the field.
afterwards.
That was lit. That was lit. Um, again, I don't think it was more of a revenge game. I think there was just more at stake. And especially in football, it's hard to beat a team twice. You can see that in the NFL, you can see that in the collegiate level. And when we were practicing leading up to that week, really nothing changed. It was more so they got us the first time. We came out when we first played them the first time. I had a couple bad drops. I wasn't performing the way that I wanted to perform, so I made it. I was very focused on just staying present. I don't know if you guys know anything about cue words, but that's one thing that has helped me a lot. It's when I'm in a hostile environment or if I'm uncomfortable, I have these cue words that I use, and it's simple. It's just stay present, be present, and everything will be all right. And that's something that I used. And for that UCF game, it was more so, with the guys that I have around me, with the crowd that we had, the environment that we were in, I never really felt out of place. I felt comfortable. I knew the game plan. I knew the schemes. I knew that they weren't going to change much on their defense. So it was just more of a matter of who wants it more. And I think that championship game shows it. I mean, they literally, up until I think Pratt scored, I think he scored sometime in the 4th where we went up like 2 scores. It was really a slugger match. Like we were going back and forth, and that's the thing about our conference. At any given moment, a team can snap off and they can run off with it into the win. And that was one of those games where we had to win, where we had to make, cement our names in history. So that was opportunity that we had to grasp, and God willing, we ended up making it happen.
Yeah, I kind of like when you're talking. Oh, you got something, Everett?
I was just gonna say, you were talking about obviously playing teams twice in college, and then obviously in the NFL, you play multiple teams 2 times a year. Obviously, every team that you have in your division, or if you play them in the playoffs as well. Do you think that, especially for you, I know you said that your mindset doesn't really change, but do you think that it's easier for you when you're playing a team for the second time because now you know kind of what their defensive bars from live action playing against them, or you can read the corners better, or is it just kind of like its own thing, it's separated, and you just kind of, it's a fresh start every single time you're playing a team for the second time?
Yeah, so I think it's a double-ended sword. And the reason why I say that is because, like you had said, if you're playing a team again, you kind of have a grasp of what to expect. And, you would think the game would go relatively easy. But in terms of that, like football is a crazy sport, man. You don't know what that other defense is scheming against you, or vice versa. You don't know what the offense is scheming against you. So you kind of have to stay on your toes and, just kind of let the game come to you. If I had to speak to anybody out there that's playing, like as a receiver, it's one of those positions where you kind of have to wait your turn, but when your turn is there, I mean, you have to capitalize because you only get so many opportunities to catch it. They're not going to throw a fade ball every play. You know what I mean? So I think it's you have to be careful when you're playing teams twice, because also if you're a game caller, you don't want to show your best cards, the first time that you play them, because then they'll know what you're capable of doing. And then also, like a lot of teams, well, I guess you could say a lot of playbooks, most of the plays that they have, there's counters to it. So, you might be running an outside zone play this time, but next week it could be a play action. And, a safety could read that. They'd be like, "Oh yeah, I've seen this play. I'm coming down hard on the run on the outside zone." Well, the QB pulled it. Now you have a X receiver running down the field running a post, and that could be easily a touchdown. So you kind of have to be weary about playing teams twice, because they can mix it up also.
Yeah, I kind of liked what you were saying a bit earlier about you guys staying on the same page, staying in it as a team. You guys went from 2-10 last year to 12-2, or 2-10 2 seasons ago to 12-2 last season. Largest single season turnaround in FBS history. And also, just looking at your schedule last year, you guys had a bunch of tight games down near the end of the game where you guys had to make some comebacks late or
Hmm.
pull stuff out at the end. Kind of take me through like the team mentality coming off a 2-10 season, changing it around. Would you say it was kind of like a team chemistry type thing, or how are you guys able to push through tough moments in games?
Yeah, man. I think if I had to pick one instant where everything changed, um, I actually think it was when we started to come up with the 1-0 motto. I gotta give credit to Nick Anderson. Um, he's a servant leader and he's not hard to follow, you know what I mean? And so with him showing us that, he's willing to put his body, his soul, and the rest of it just all on the line. I mean, it makes it very easy to go out there and play for your brother that's right next to you. So I think we had the connection there. It was on and off the field. And then in terms of us pulling away from the close games that we had, I think that just comes with experience. We had a lot of people on the field at all times that had played multiple college games. So a lot of times those scenarios that we got into, it wasn't the first time that we had seen it, whether it was in a game or whether it was Coach Fritz prepping us. Because I don't know if you guys know this, but Coach Fritz is by far the best special teams coach in America. We're like one of the only team, yeah, Everett knows. We're one of the only teams that practice special teams every day. And it's not just for 15 minutes. It's probably a third of the practice, because you have a third
Thursday
where it's
practices too. Thursday's
yeah,
practices are always special teams.
yes. So I mean, he does a great job with showing us scenarios, and then we also watch film. What we did last year, which was really fun. Uh, Everett knows Shane. Shane's a great guy in our program. He's probably the main reason why our program's still going. I mean, he does all the
Yeah,
stuff,
he does
all the
everything.
What
everything,
exactly
man.
does
Everything.
Shane do? I'm a little interested about this Shane guy.
I think
Shane.
he's the director of operations, and he
Yeah.
fulfills that need very well. And so,
He's
what we
he's yeah, he's Coach Fritz's guy on the sideline that's like, all right, we have this much time left. You have these
mhm,
options. Don't challenge here, challenge here. Like he's the
yeah,
he's like that kind of guy.
Like the voice inside Fritz's head, just giving
Yeah, he's
instructions.
a
so
Jiminy Cricket.
he he's always in tune, man. I'm not gonna lie. And what we did during the season, we would watch the games previous, right? And say if a team messed up on punt, or if they did something, ridiculous, we would watch that. And it wasn't because we were making fun of them. It was because, we were making sure that we don't do that. And so we don't end up on the screen, because he would do that. Shane would put somebody that's on our team. He would do that and make a mockery of them. And it's obviously out of love. And, all of all the people that were a part of the team, I can call on them right now and they pick up and ask how I'm doing. And it just wasn't because we were just there, we were just football players. It was more so of a family environment. And I think that carried on as we played. It got stronger too.
Okay, I got two things. I just have to know because you said Shane makes
Mhm.
a mockery of people. Did Shane ever make a mockery out of you? Did you ever do something
Oh,
that Shane called you out
that
for?
Oh,
and
oh,
also
That
of Chad
we need to know
and
that. Oh
Chad.
yeah, Chad too. Yeah,
How many
Chad.
times did
We do
Shane
need to know
call out
Chad.
Chad? Please, I need to know.
oh man. I tell you what, man, he's definitely gotten on me. And most of it is, I think this applies to all the people that he's gotten on. We have this app called Teamworks,
Yep.
and he's steadily making adjustments, updates on there. And sometimes when you get out of practice, you don't see those updates. You have all those notifications. So you have a question that comes into mind. You see Shane, and I'm a person that I don't avoid confrontation. So if I have a question, I'm gonna go ask the direct source. I mean, I would go ask him, and it's just straight to it. Like, did you check Teamworks? Like, no, Shane, I just got out of practice. Well, maybe you should check Teamworks. And yeah, I mean, it just goes on and on. And you said Chad,
Yeah, Chad. We need to know about
I
Chad. We
need to
need to
know
know
about
about
Shane
Chad.
and Chad. I'm
you
really
talking about
interested.
Chadwick?
Yeah,
What's his
Yes,
second
Bailey.
name?
Chadwick. Oh, I
Bailey.
forgot. I
Yeah.
Chadwick
forgot.
Bailey.
He tried to drop just the Chad when he went to Tulane. Wanted to go by Chadwick. I
Oh
forgot.
Be more
man.
sophisticated.
Uh, no, I would say I haven't personally heard Shane go off on Chadwick, but me knowing Chadwick, he kind of just stays out of trouble. He's that kid
Good.
that he's monitoring everything, but he doesn't. During practice, like I couldn't see him getting in trouble by Shane. I mean, maybe on scout team with Coach Nagel, that's a different story. I mean, they like their scout team set up in a precise way. And I mean, if they're not, you're definitely gonna hear it. But like, I don't have any stories with Chadwick getting ripped by Shane.
That's
Dang.
probably
Dang.
best case
Yeah,
scenario that they're
no
on.
Um,
doubt.
the other thing, and I know at least this is the way that I felt when we were in this situation. I think it now. Obviously,
Mhm.
our first loss of the season was a heartbreaker. Southern Miss loss. We were, we.
All right, that's my dog.
It's okay. We obviously we were expected to win that. We were expected to blow them out that game. We obviously lost that. And my mentality is if we didn't lose that, if we had won that game, we probably wouldn't have gone to the Cotton Bowl. We probably wouldn't have gotten to where we were because we wouldn't have adopted the 1-0 mentality. We wouldn't have been playing for, the way that we were. And I'm just curious if that's the same way that you kind of think about it, that the team thinks about it, and what your kind of mindset is with that.
You were speaking about the Southern Miss game, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that was a game where we really we just let it get out of our hands. Kudos to them. I mean, they pulled it off. And if I'm gonna be quite frank, I mean, if we were to play them again, I don't think it would be close. And so it was one of those
We play them next year. We'll
mentalities.
make sure it's not close.
Yeah,
We
get
play
the
them next
bell
year. We're gonna
back
make sure it's not close.
for sure. And it was one of those games where like any team can get beat. And it's funny actually because it was the week after we beat K-State. And I'll never forget this actually. Coach Hester, which if y'all can do a segment with Coach Hester sometime, you definitely should, or at least speak to him, Everett.
I'm writing that
Especially
down.
like with your
I love Coach
background.
Hester.
Yeah,
Yeah.
man, he's a gem. But no, I'll never forget this. I mean, we beat K-State, and I want to say it was Monday, and we came in, we're prepping for Southern Miss. He had up on the projectors like all the teams that have beaten a ranked opponent, an AP ranked opponent, and who they played that next week, and there was a trend. So these teams, I think there was like UAB. UAB beat somebody big that week, and then they ended up losing the next week to somebody that wasn't even ranked. So he just kept prepping to us like, don't let these guys be a sleeper. Like, make sure you guys are on your on your toes and make sure you're prepared. And I'll never forget that because it was just full circle because we literally thought that, if we just went out there, we showed our uniforms, we did whatever we had to do, we'd come out with the win. Well, obviously that wasn't the case. They obviously played with a higher edge. They executed better than we did. And moving forward, I think we made a testament to each other that we wouldn't have any games like that where we'd show half effort. We made a effort where looks go in, man. Sorry. But we made an effort to, just play as hard as we can, especially for the brothers that are next to us. So
Yeah, so talking a bit more about, relationships you got with players on your team. Uh
Hmm.
Something I always am interested in is the quarterback wide receiver relationship. A lot of people in the NFL are talking about matching up Burrow with Jamar Chase, his college receivers, and that relationship. How important would you say that relationship is to success on the field? And kind of what Everett and I were thinking about in terms of like a dead play when the play breaks down. How are you
Hmm.
and Pratt on the same page with how to break off your route, find open space when a play breaks down?
Yeah, man, the connection piece and chemistry with receivers and QB is very vital, especially in the passing game. Just because like what we were speaking about earlier, there's certain routes where we have a choice where, for example, like if we have a comeback, but we feel as if we can beat the defender that's on us, well, if we, pull the Randy Moss where you just put your hand up, that's supposed to be an indicator for Pratt just to throw a fade ball, just to throw it up there and let us go get it. So I think it comes with obviously extra hours, and then it puts a lot of stress on the QB because, all receivers, they come in different heights and different sizes, and you have to work with them to see which balls they can adjust to better. I think what Pratt found out with me was that I work better with, I can obviously jump up there and get it, but if I can flip my hips, like if it's a back shoulder ball, I'd say I'm a lot better at doing that than I am just trying to outrun somebody because I'm not a 4-3 type of guy. You know what I mean? So we obviously had to work on that a lot. And then I think the biggest example that I could tell you was it was the SMU game. I had a touchdown. It was over the shoulder, and me and Pratt, we've worked on that since I've gotten here, and I told him just straight up. I was like, look. The same thing I just told you guys. I'm not a 4-3 guy. Like you can't just laser it in there and I'll run under it. I told him, you kind of got to put some air under it. Let me get under it and let me adjust to it. So I mean that's kind of the epitome of how having a relationship and having a chemistry with the QB can go. And in terms of like our other receivers, like Keys is a fast guy. You can throw it up there. He's gonna run under it. Deuce, same thing. But you can also throw it on top. You know what I mean? Because he's a jump man. He's able to go get those balls. You have Quan. Quan can catch anything across the middle. And he's the same thing. You can throw it over the top, and then when we had Day and Fat, they were kind of like me. They were great at getting out their routes and out their cuts, and we're able to just adjust to the ball. So it comes with twofold. It comes with the receiver knowing, obviously where to get, how to manage their body, and then also going. It also manage how to manage, what play is at hand. So it just takes a lot of preparation, a lot of reps, obviously, and yeah, I mean, when you're on the big stage, when the lights are flashing, I mean, that's really when you get to showcase it.
So we're starting to run low on time here. We got a couple more
Mhm.
questions to ask before we wrap up the episode. But obviously, you're talking about taking time with your quarterback is outside of practice, doing all this stuff. I obviously I know you. I've seen you come in early. I've seen you work after practice. So I obviously know that you're putting time in outside of the bare minimum. You're the guy first one in, last one out kind of mentality. So with that, kind of what would NFL teams like what would NFL teams get to expect from you knowing how you are? Like what would you be able to translate to those teams work in camps like this kind of stuff? What would NFL teams get out of being able to have you there?
Yeah, I think the biggest piece that I'd be able to bring is just reliability. As I mentioned, I'm not the fastest guy, I'm not the tallest, I'm not the strongest, but I'm able to get open. I'm able to make those hard catches. You won't ever have to question me about my hard work because I'm dedicated, and I'm not just dedicated to football. I think a lot of football players have that stigma where it's like, oh, it's football or nothing. Well, I want to advance on all aspects of my life. So if I do have that opportunity to, work hand in hand with GMs and coaches, I'd love to develop connections with them, not just based off of a football level, but maybe if we could help the community or set up something with the team where we build more camaraderie. And so I would say you're getting somebody that is devoted to their game, to their craft. Obviously, I'm God-fearing, and you know, I lead by example.
Yeah.
And then Grant's
Last
got
question I had talking about, diverse interests, interests in other things outside of football. I heard through the grapevine, which is just Everett, but I heard from the grapevine that you're a Denver Nuggets fan who are having a pretty solid season this year, first in the West.
Yeah.
But I just need to know your stance on the most popular debate in the NBA, the Jokic Embiid MVP debate.
Oh yeah.
Does Jokic deserve his third straight MVP this year?
You know, we have to clarify what MVP means nowadays, because Jokic is obviously the most valuable player on his team. If he's not there, they're not the first seed. And so when you put that in terms of what he's doing, I obviously think he's up for the third MVP. But if you look at the stats and how many games he's played, if you look at all these analytics, then obviously it's going to be skewed. You know, you're obviously going to lean towards Joel. I think Joel is a great pick too. And I mean, if he ends up winning it, I mean, I can't be upset about that. He's having a great year too. But in my opinion, and I know that I'm biased, I think Jokic deserves it for real. And I mean, it's just because like if you take them off the team, they're not winning most of the games that they're winning.
Yeah, I think something Everett and I talk about a lot is the heart of players. For me, Michael Pratt has the heart of a lion. I'd run through 4 brick walls for that guy. And
he did win the Lefty Dickstrong quarterback award.
Yeah, the Lefty Dickstrong quarterback award. Fun fact, the first ever Rose Bowl ever between Tulane and USC back in 1918, Lefty Dickstrong threw the first forward pass in the history of football. And the USC defense, they had no idea what the hell was going on. Lefty Dickstrong, he's etched in.
This is all a joke. Forever. It's all a joke. That's not actually what happened.
What? This
I fell for it too.
History lesson.
Yeah.
But yeah. One last thing that we just wanted to just make sure that you knew, this is actually a fact. This can be fact checked. Heard through the grapevine, and in this case it's Grant, or in other cases it's our unnamed intern. But he's doing data analysis right now. Waterboy analytics. Yeah, we don't talk about him. Yeah, so just a heads up, no quarterback in NFL history has ever won the Super Bowl if they're wearing a visor. So whatever team you end up on, if they're wearing a visor, Bears, Eagles.
Don't call out Justin like that, dude. Mooney
yeah,
has to deal with him, okay? We got to look out for Tulane guys in the league. Right?
Man.
Yeah, but if your quarterback has a visor, gotta tell him cut that out, man. We're trying to go.
Trying to win a chip.
Soupy.
That's actually really cool. I've actually never noticed that, man.
Yeah, no, I know there was one year where Big Ben had a visor on. The Steelers made it to the Super Bowl that year. They lost though. So that every time the Steelers won, Big Ben did not have the visor on, at least for the Super Bowl. So just something to look out for.
Cam lost. Cam had a visor on. So did
I was gonna say Cam Newton, but he lost too. So
yeah,
no visors, no visors.
No visors. I'll keep that in mind.
But you can wear a visor. I mean, you're now legally able to wear like the dark visors and stuff. So, I mean, I might rep that. Sure. I would say that. But yeah, I mean, the only other thing that we wanted to bring up was just you going up against Julius Brents versus K-State. Obviously, we have him rated as a top 5 corner in this draft. Potential second round, first round pick. Obviously, that's a big name to go up against, a big talent to go up against. So just when you were going up against him, kind of what was your mindset going into that? How are you reading him, his body language? Like how are you able to win routes versus him? And obviously that will translate into the NFL as obviously he's one of the better prospects in this draft.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so he obviously has a great stature. He's a great player as well. Just facing up against him, he was a competitor, and you know, for me, I had to use my disadvantages to my advantage. So like I'm shorter, I was a little quicker than him, and it goes back to like, you know, my basketball terminology. It was more so how can I move him off the line because he's so lengthy. It's like 6'3", and his wingspan is crazy, dude. Like I remember there were certain plays, dog, like I swear he'd be over the line, but he's just standing there and the refs were like, no, he's okay. And I actually had to learn the hard way with Sauce. I played against Sauce my first year, and that was one of the most legitimate corners that I'd ever played in my career. And that game I think was a staple for me that I can't just, dance around on the line or, kind of just, bullshit around, excuse my French, but like with those types of corners, they have their length and they're speedy. And um, so I learned a lot going up against him. And, with Julius, I think I held my own. Didn't really do as much as I wanted to against that game, but I mean, definitely looking forward to facing corners like him in the league, just because that'll better me and hopefully I can better them too.
Yeah, you heard it here from Shae. Shae has gone up versus the technical best corner in the NFL right now. May not have gotten a touchdown up on him, but clearly has experience that not many receivers can say that they have. So you'll be getting that out of him too. With that, though, thank you guys so much for watching, listening. Rate us 5 stars on Spotify. You can find us on YouTube, TikTok, and on Twitter at Waterboy Pod. Make sure to subscribe, like, favorite, all that stuff. And you can find Shae at Wyatt Waterboy at Wyatt_Shae. Shae, is there anything else you want to say before we wrap up?
Next year too.
Yeah, you can watch him in the NFL too. That will happen. So,
man, no,
is there
all
anything
I
you just want to add?
is, yeah, I appreciate you guys having me. It's always a blast, and keep coming with those analytics, man. Y'all are going somewhere for real.
Yeah, Waterboy Analytics. We're getting praise on multiple sources, multiple different resources calling us out using our analytics. So yeah, thank you. Thank you for coming on. Official recurring guest, Shae Wyatt. One episode.
Oh yeah. Hey Grant, can I get a roll wave?
Roll wave. All right.
Yeah, no. That was limp. That was limp. You got to do the whole.
Oh, yeah, I'm gonna be honest. I don't know this.
Thing.
You gotta this.
We're doing it for you. The whole
come
thing.
on.
Roll wave.
Roll wave.
There we go.
That works. All right. With that, Water was